First Peoples Radio presents Amplifying Voices, a project which aims to preserve, promote, and revitalize Indigenous languages and cultures. Robert Maytwayashing is Anishinaabe, raised in his people on the Lake Manitoba First Nation in Manitoba's Interlake region. Robert is also a pipe carrier and sweat lodge keeper. Robert talks about prophecy and that only united can humanity overcome the challenges of today.
Bonjour, Denawe Maganetuk, Songe Gabo Miskomashkotevic Kendego, Makundo Dem, Nimiskomashkotevic Keogiteta, Shigo Memegwe Siwindi Ukanchachak, Akromanip Meandap. I just explained my name is Robert Maytwayashing. That's my English and family name, but more importantly, my spiritual name, which is Strong Standing Red Buffalo, and that I'm also of the Bear Clan. So that's the introduction of who I am. I'm from the Lake Manitoba Treaty 2 First Nation. Nimosi Bing Dongji. Niso Dagoigo. Quetashni Mitipachem. Anin Anishinaabe Nom Hejobatang Omaga Inakamega Komaking. I just want to share a little bit about how we as Indigenous people, which have a different lens of how we see the world around us, are in fact seeing and experiencing the world around us in today's terms. Nongum Anishinaabe Ejiwawataman Ejiwap Maksago Memetegeneguet Ushgayak. Today our people, and in particular our youth, the only thing I could really say at this point is I feel that they're lost. Kaino kendazino onen yegan snabe yot nibo yegan winsiok kya beosheme gain wigitoinyo wikendazino java jitwat in sutamwat. Our people today are struggling to the point where many of them don't even know who they are identity-wise. It's one thing to say you're an Indian, which is even that is a colonial term, but to understand what that entails, many of our people don't even have their traditional names anymore. They struggle in trying to use the language, whether they can speak it or understand it. The vast majority of our people today don't. And because of that, as a people, we have some huge challenges in front of us. Our elders are always reminding us from way back that as a people, we've always been loved. We've been loved by the Great Spirit and all our relations. And because of that, as very loving people and giving people. Mitashe Anishinaabe Nomgo Daunishing Bushke me Kaino Ikendazin Jishawenta was it. Kaino Ikendazin Oganenigai Taming Chipagit Negenge Machimi Gengelu. And because of that disconnection, many of our people today don't understand or appreciate that very simple basic teaching of giving. Nimamkoi setaveta oegenin kchanisnabe agibikinamoit apanego apiojet sene kewin inesete namang jinagat kit giwi kongemen we mimigwetchimang. I often remember the words of my late elder, who was sick and was basically preparing to go back to that spirit world. We knew it and he knew it. So we did something. We called for a ceremony and a feast to call all of his friends and relatives, where we wanted to honor him for the work that he had done in his lifetime. Mitashima mego tanakamigisyang kinoya kagigito utashindan waninge we know agishiwichi what me nikchansnaben. While we were in this event, everybody was given the opportunity to share in how this elder had helped them in their own lives and seeking their own healing and trying to find out who they were as Indigenous people. And that's what we did at that ceremony. And after all that took place, it was then turn for our late elder to share whatever he felt he wanted to share. And I always remember these words because although they were very simple words, they had so much meaning in them, not only then, but today, and if people take heed, possibly to tomorrow. Aigi kita, ayetta wundisha pagusenda, begish, kiabigi gashkezian, chiwicha kanishnabe, kiabichi migian, ogananganin, gegu minikagip miminigoisian. If I could only have one wish, he said to all of us that were there, and there was hundreds of people there. We even had some high-profile Canadian politicians that zoomed in via teleconference to say some things. Anyway, what he said was, if I could only have one wish, that wish would be that I would be given more time simply to give. That is a very simple yet profound statement, because today most people have forgotten how to give. And when you give, it's giving, it's not giving if there's strings attached. Ishpin aya eguminik una schwarteng das shaninji is it chigat tamaniege u aminigwan. Kainash migesiuk. Yagwete penimigu. So again, if you give somebody something with strings attached or conditions attached, that's not true giving. All that really is it's an attempt to control someone through some kind of a gifting of something. I don't even want to use the word gifting. Payment, I guess, is the word I'd be looking for. Mi epigonishnabejek jinisiteinang niapcha sheging yeminekegu agishiminigo is angeshamanitu agishiminiguang aningegi night jijip minop matisiam. As a people, Anishinaabe kitegonanik. Ispinigang inundation macha kwebikuchaje. If we want to move forward, our elders always remind us, first we need to go back. And what they're talking about is we need to go back and pick up those very values that are found within those teachings that sustained us as a people for thousands upon thousands of years. Apanego Anishinaabe umagi piaya, munya umaga pisha taushinga kwe, uni negwang hinako negwang aningeu kinyanizesek. Kinain shomayayam nitamigo, miomagi night manituga sekon. Kinain wagitak kina. Our elders also remind us we are the true and original peoples here in our homelands. And as the original peoples, we have yet to contribute our greatest gift to mankind. But for the longest time, we were prohibited from doing that. Moon ya o yo zisitun ge go nako de gene nan chigibotoni Anishinaabe and Daikit. The settlers that came to our lands kind of took over and they claimed our lands for their own through various means, policies, laws, broken promises, things of that nature. And they kind of said, we are now the lords and masters of these lands, and you guys are simply wards of the state. Ni night get ken down ani jichigan, ani ya ni jimeno seke, yega Anishinaabe yek, bigo gegi do janch moon yang et the ujija matase. They basically told us, if you want a future, you're going to have to become like us and forget everything that you know and what you know of as a people. That's not going to help you in the future. But our elders also cautioned us, don't ever forget who you are as the original people of these lands. Don't ever forget the very things our great creator and all of creation had blessed us with, to live very prosperous lives. We can't simply adopt somebody else's lifestyle because they told us we have to. And that's part of the challenge that we face even in today's world. The government's policy has always been to assimilate us, and that policy has not changed. The wording has simply changed. Mitas, yeah, ni gana ninchi jamachan. Akina bin oji is yegabwe jikendizut. Wees winchayat, o do daman not, o gigit winchayat. Our elders tell us every child that is born within our nations has the right to have their traditional name. They have the right to have that family connection through the clan system and to understand which clan they come from and the responsibilities that fall within that clan. And more importantly, they have the right to speak their native language, whatever that may be. Ogwek inin yok ikweyok, chichagina not. Kiabige guya yamin, agyun jizungizing, kichichakonanik. Mi ogin seteno, no gainu tashagu chiasson, Anishinaabe. Ayanga jemachi kot, kitabinovuchi menanik. When the settlers came here, they had different policies in place, again, to assimilate us, in essence, to try and conquer us. They had all kinds of different policies to try and subdue us, to move on to reserves, follow their laws, their rules, etc. And even though as a people we've gone through a lot of trauma, we've gone through a lot of hardship, they still weren't able to get rid of us. And what our elders tell us is what was giving us the strength to hang on, and at times even though by a thread, was our spirit. No matter what they did to us, they couldn't kill our spirit. That's when they decided to start attacking our children. And that's when that whole residential school system came into effect, and the various things that happened within those institutions. Again, it was all about killing the Indian and the child. Muunjainen Duncan Campbell Scott Kisen kaso. Ute muunjako na shwata mot kegu. Ute kchiute na ngota wine ngai chagatek. Unwen gigi toinen I didn't come against in the minoma. Ani nigo easy a skit tongue. Migo besana we cheese it again. Panema kin Anishinaabe kin sign. You won't come against him. Back in the day, part of government policy again was to kill the Indian and the child. And there are different individuals that worked for government, whether they're bureaucrats, senior officials, politicians, etc., that made statements in Parliament. And I'll continue on with that statement in the next segment. So I'll leave it there for now.
Amplifying Voices was developed in collaboration with over 60 Indigenous language keepers, experts, broadcasters, and academics, and is guided by an Indigenous advisory group comprising broadcasters, language experts, elders, and authors. The project is produced by Multicultural and the First Peoples Radio, and funded through the Radio Fund of Canada.